Okay, algebra. This week and next week we're focusing on exponents. We're going to start off day one with really basic stuff. Basic doesn't necessarily mean easy though, so keep that in mind. And I'm going to have to do the video in two parts because YouTube is acting weird right now. So this will be part one, first video. We'll talk about this, and then part two will be the more algebraic stuff. So here we go. Dun, dun, dun. I'm going to put date and time on here from now on. I don't know why, but today is May 18th. It is approximately 11 a.m. in the morning. Voila! Start off with some vocabulary. This little number up here is called the exponent. You know this already. This number right here is called the base. I think we talked about that way back in October when we were doing PEMDAS, or September when we were doing PEMDAS, but I can't remember, to be honest with you. Couple things. Make sure you write it correctly. Like, if you write it like that, that's no bueno. So go slow, do it right. Even that looks no bueno to me. You know how picky I am. I want the base to be big, the exponent to be small, noticeably smaller than the base number. Yeah? Okay. And let's talk about how you say it. 6 to the second power. 6 to the second power. And a lot of times we don't even say power, we say 6 to the second. And you're probably familiar with the more common way to say this, which is 6 squared. Voila! And what does it mean? It means that there are two factors of 6. I'll talk about why I'm using parentheses in a minute, okay? This one, 5 to the third power. 5 to the third power. By the way, if you don't have a printer at home, you can just take notes on regular notebook paper, yeah. And what does that mean? It means there's 3 factors of 5. This, by the way, is called expanded form. When you write it out, how many factors there are, that's called expanded form. So if we ask you to write in expanded form, that's all you have to do. The more common way to say this is 5 cubed. Okay, next one. 2 to the fourth power. 2 to the fourth power, or 2 to the fourth. And there is no special way to say exponents of 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. Only exponents of 2 and 3 have a special way of saying it. Yeah? So 2 to the fourth, that means there are 4 factors of 2. So I need to see 4 factors of 2. I need 4 sets of parentheses, and I'll talk about more about that in a minute. This is 4 to the fifth. 4 to the fifth power. 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. Okay. And one more piece of vocabulary. If we tell you to evaluate the expression, that means tell us the answer. 6 times 6 is 36. Yeah? That's the worst 6 I ever made in my whole life. I don't even know what that is. Looks like hieroglyphics. Greek letter. I don't know. Anyways. So, A lot of students will say, oh, solve it. No, that's not called solving. That is not called solving. It's called evaluating. You might, that's how they say it in elementary school all the time, though. So, understandable why students don't know how to say it properly. Because they use the verb solve for everything for some reason in elementary school. But algebra, the word solve means something completely, or not completely different, but very specific in algebra. So, let me talk about why parentheses. Yeah. So, way back in elementary school, when you first learned multiplication, you learned it with that symbol. Yeah. And then, towards middle school, you learned, oh, you could also use a dot. As long as the dot's in the middle, not on the bottom, because if it's on the bottom, it means a decimal point, totally different. So, how you write things matters. How you say things matters. How you treat people matters. Details are important. Anyways. And you also learned in roughly middle school that you could also use parentheses. All of these mean 8 times 2, 8 times 2, 8 times 2. Yeah. And then fast forward to high school and the use of letters or variables. Yeah. X times Y. That looks horrible. The X looks like the times sign. That's why we don't use that symbol to mean multiply. So in high school, we would prefer you to use a dot or parentheses, or you guys have learned this also. When you have letters, you are allowed to just stick them next to each other like that, and it means multiplication. Yeah. This is actually the more preferred way, except for today. This is how, for today, I want you to write multiplication. I want you to use parentheses today. Yeah. Next video, we'll do some algebra.